yeah, I thought it'd be cool maybe to discuss latest events, kind of give my thoughts on it. I was in St. Louis covering the tournament, so I didn't really feel comfortable commenting on any of it while the stuff was going on, because I'm there like working the tournament, and the organizers getting a lot of backlash kind of unnecessarily, and so yeah, I felt like it just would be kind of unprofessional for me to really discuss this stuff while I was there. But now that it's moved like beyond St. Louis and beyond the Sinquefield Cup, and clearly this is a thing that's, yeah, perhaps even bigger, than Magnus himself, in terms of how all this, relates to the cheating discussion and cheating in chess in general. It definitely feels like a big topic to talk about. And Jesse and David, actually, they already covered it a bit when it first happened in St. Louis on Dojo Talks, which I think was the latest one. So first off, just to catch everyone up, this is a very, very brief summary of everything that's happened in the Magnus and Hans drama. Okay, number one, they play in the Sinquefield Cup. Maybe relevant to this context is that they played a couple weeks prior in this like in-person esports online event in Miami, where Hans wins the first game, comes out, gives his immortal "chess speaks for itself," and then Magnus wins the next 3 games and wins the match. Not a ton of drama there. Honestly, just it was very fun. I think people, some people liked Hans, some people disliked him, but for the most part, I think everyone was definitely okay with the friendly banter. So then we get to the Sinquefield Cup, round 3. Hans is already doing well, 1.5 out of 2. He has this huge game against Magnus, wins the game and with black. Next day, Magnus withdraws from the tournament. He sends out this tweet: "I withdrawn from the tournament." It's like a cryptic soccer clip.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble.
Where, this famous clip of this guy who's implicitly accusing like the referees of cheating or whatever, but like can't say anything, and he says I can't say anything, and then Magnus doesn't say anything. So people start drawing all kinds of speculations, of course. And then that same day, instead of playing his round 4, Magnus, of course, leaves the tournament, doesn't play against Mamadjarov. Then that very same day, the tournament also institutes these additional anti-cheating measures, like the 15-minute delay, and then they start scanning the players a little bit more thoroughly with these like RFID devices that I don't really know how to work. But anyway, so increased cheating measures, and then no cheating is found. A couple of days later, the tournament, they release a statement saying that they have no indications of foul play from anyone, which obviously includes Hans. They've had his games, checked, and yeah, haven't found anything, right? So there's no reason to be suspicious of him. But obviously, as you guys probably know, this whole thing just like totally blew up. This whole firestorm. I've been explaining it to my civilian, non-chess friends all weekend. So what's happening? And today, okay, the drama kind of escalated because Magnus and Hans were supposed to play in this Meltwater online event. It's put on by Magnus's company, Play Magnus Group, and Magnus plays his first move against Hans and then resigns the game. I think I have the game somewhere here if I can. Yeah, so there's the there's the game of the day right there. D4, knight of 6, C4. Magnus resigns. Commentators shocked. Chess World once again goes crazy. Fans start going wild, and here we are. Everyone has been derailed. I was trying to study for try to get some GM norms. That's not happening with all this going on. During the tournament, actually, a lot of players were distracted. Even Fabi Caruana, during the tournament, he was like, during the rest day, he was like, yeah, somehow I like couldn't think about chess at all. And like during the game, he's saying like, yeah, somehow I just couldn't think about the game at all. And they're like, oh, what was your mind on? He's like, no, I'm not gonna get into it. This whole thing, it's huge, and it's very ugly for the chess world, of course, because it's not fun to have all these like crazy accusations getting thrown around. Okay, so I think that kind of covers the facts of the situation. No one really knows what's in Magnus's head. He hasn't actually clarified. There's been a ton of speculation, but even the people closest to him, they haven't really said much. But we know Magnus is healthy. He's playing chess. He's playing pretty well. I mean, he's doing well after 2 days in this next event. And at this point, I mean, it's become pretty clear that it has something to do, right, with Magnus thinking that Hans has cheated, either during the Sinquefield Cup or in the past. That definitely is not clear. So, yeah. Now, personally, I really don't want to get into any of like the so-called evidence against Hans, because for me personally, that's been like one of like the ugliest things about this whole thing, is that like Magnus, he makes this like very implicit accusation. Everyone immediately understands what he's talking about. Also, that same day that he leaves, the tournament institutes some anti-cheating measures, which is why the whole like leaked prep theory, this was always kind of silly to me, because it's like leaked prep has nothing to do with like anti-cheating measures. It's like no reason why they would like institute these measures, because they think there's like, because Magnus thinks that someone sold his prep or anything. So all those theories, I think, really, really unlikely. Clearly, it's been all about cheating. There was like the Chicken Chess Club podcast with Magnus's seconds, like Fressinet, Gustafsson, and Peter Heine. They've done 2 episodes talking about this. They obviously haven't really said anything, that, I guess like betrays, what Magnus is thinking or whatever. But it's clear that for them, this is all about cheating. And I thought their first episode was quite interesting, because again, they didn't really say anything revealing, but at some point, like, Jan, he like calls cheating in chess like a cancer that was going to kill the sport, essentially, which I thought was pretty strong, but kind of shows his point of view. And they made a comparison to cycling, where they said that cheating essentially killed the sport because there wasn't enough being done about it. Essentially, I think I'm paraphrasing here. So yeah, it kind of suggests that they're saying like, okay, at some point, like someone had to do something. And like from all these interviews, it's clear that a lot of these top players, they understand that there is some cheating in the sport, whether it's in person or online. Probably a lot more online, but again, no one really knows to what extent, both online and in person, how much is going on. And so it's clearly on everyone's minds. But yeah, personally, like, I feel like it has been very witch hunty, against Hans, right? Because apparently, like, at first it was all about like the Sinquefield Cup, and he beat Magnus, and did he, cheat in this game against Magnus? But all of a sudden, people are like now going into like his past events, analyzing like his old games, trying to find like cheating in the past. But what does that have to do with him, like in the Sinquefield? It's just like, so all of a sudden, someone points a finger, and now people are just like becoming chess detectives, scouring the internet, for like all signs of cheating, which has been, I mean, silly to look at, but also just like, oh boy, really sad. I mean, and bizarre, honestly, because you have players who have never played a chess tournament in their life, all of a sudden, evaluating Hans's analysis skills and making claims about whether his analysis is 2500 level or 2700 level. People with like maybe a third of his rating online, maybe a fourth, right? So it's like, to me, that was maybe one of the weirdest part. It's like this running trope, how every week, there's a new story, and, 1 week people are experts on climate, the next week everyone's like an expert on gun control. Like this week, apparently everyone is an expert on like cheating and engines, and like how well people are supposed to improve, and like how quickly people are supposed to like gain rating. So I feel like all of that is just like totally unnecessary and crazy. And it's clear that Hans, did cheat online. He admitted to it as such. Chess.com, released a statement. We can talk about them as well. I don't care. They said like basically, saying that he wasn't being honest and like forthright with how much. And okay, I'm sure they had reason to say that. But I don't think this is how it should work. I feel like it's just not how it should work, right? It's like for me personally, someone innocent like getting publicly accused like this is way worse than someone guilty going free, if that makes sense. It's worse than 10 guilty people going free, right? Someone innocent getting like this viciously attacked publicly from all sides, like that's really unfortunate. So that's the bummer. That's the real bummer here, and that's why like it does feel like the onus here is really on Magnus to kind of demonstrate something. And I don't know, I was listening to Geary today on the Chess24 show, and I think someone else was saying something similar. The top players, it's like they understand, like they don't want to make these accusations themselves, but they all feel like, okay, there is cheating in their sport, and yeah, at some point, someone has to make a stand. But I feel like this was by far not a great way to do it. If you think a player is cheating, in an OTB event, yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is the way you kind of like accuse them. If anything, I would think the opposite. You would try to keep your suspicions quiet, right? You would hope that they continue cheating so you can catch them, right, in the act. I don't know. I mean, that's just... So the way it's gone about, like, there's no hard evidence, right, that anyone has cheated in the Sinquefield Cup, right, or in these like online events. No one has been caught cheating. I mean, like, publicly, people have been caught cheating behind the scenes. That's a different story. And yeah, so right now it just feels like, right, the onus is kind of on Magnus. And I have a ton of respect for Magnus. I think a lot of the top players, they also, you can tell they kind of get where he's coming from. But yeah, it still doesn't make it fair, I think, to just go after a particular player like this. But that said, Magnus, he's the greatest of all time. I can guarantee you guys he's not a bad decision maker, right? You have to make a lot of decisions in chess, the chess game, and like during tournaments, like what openings to play, how to train. He's not a bad decision maker, right? So, I mean, this was definitely like when he did that, it was honestly like surreal. I mean, totally unexpected. Like when Kasparov says like this has never happened before, like he's not really, like it hasn't really happened before. Like at this level, like world champion drops out an event. It was kind of interesting, again, also sad a little bit, to follow like the court of public opinion. And I can definitely tell you guys, like the first day, many people were siding with Magnus, because it's like he's earned some respect. He wouldn't do something like this if he didn't have very good reason. But then, Hans gave this interview, which I found to be quite convincing. It's definitely swayed a lot of people. And yeah, and then and since then the tide has definitely been shifting quite a bit. And then today he resigns the game against Hans, which was very interesting because I definitely spoke with some people in St. Louis that predicted this exact scenario. I don't want to give anyone away or anything, but they were like, they basically called it immediately. They're like, Magnus is not going to play. He's going to make one move and resign. And it was very believable when they said it, actually, because Magnus has done this before. If you guys remember, he played one move against Ding Liren and resigned. Or maybe a couple moves. He like hung his queen or whatever. But that was a different thing. That was actually a show of great sportsmanship. Kind of fun, oddly enough. That was because the previous game, Ding Liren had like mouse slipped and like a winning position or something, or like he mouse slipped his queen and had to resign the game immediately. And then the next game, Magnus resigns and gives him back the point. Which was, yeah, I mean, a huge show of sportsmanship. So I don't think Magnus's whatever sportsmanship ethic is, way out of line here. but yeah, it's just odd. I mean, it's to me, it's just odd. It's like it's a Chess24 event. It's like Magnus's company, but like they released a statement where they were like, why is Hans playing in the event? Well, he qualified from the last event, and we haven't caught him cheating or whatever, so he's still playing. But Magnus is playing. Like, guys, like someone needs to just talk to Magnus. Like, what? It's like insane. Like this company is like, oh well, we want Magnus to play, we want Hans to play. We don't know what's going on. I mean, I feel bad for them. It's like when at the in St. Louis, it's like there's nothing more that the tournament wanted than like less drama, right? Like they wanted Magnus to play. They didn't want any fight or anything like that, right? But it's like, yeah, literally just doing the best they can.